Hey, how's it going today? Sunday. We're taking a look at some of them might be very important opportunities. I have taken a look at hydrogen, and I was trying to understand hydrogen as well as have so many emails, so many emails. I don't know. But before I even touch on emails, I have even more important things to cover. Within this video, myself, I will preface this by trying to understand transition that was taking place historically, right? So myself, again, this is how I understand things, right? Perhaps others will understand it completely different. Let's begin with the gold standard that people might know of and progress from there and what I think things the way how things are happening and how I understand things, right? So let's start with the gold standard for people who don't know. Gold standard is a monetary system in which the standard economic unit of account is based on a fixed quantity of gold. The gold standard was the basis for the international monetary system from the 1870s to the early 1920s and from the late 1920s to 1932, as well as from 1944 to 1971. Then the United States unilaterally terminated convertibility of US dollar to gold, effectively ending the Bretton Woods system. Many states nonetheless hold substantial gold reserves. So that's how I understood it, right? So that's a gold standard, and I'm taking this information, right, and or how I understood it, right? Let's take a look at what's happening, right? From there, perhaps there's something that's currently happening within UK. Since I'm taking a look at UK's Financial Conduct Authority, and some of the dates that will be 10th of 11th, 23rd, 23, right? And it was updated very recently, a week or so ago, right? It's something that's called Woodford Equity Income Fund Redress. Okay. This page provides update on the settlement scheme. The scheme proposed by Link Fund Solutions Limited (LFS) is a relation to the LF Equity Income Fund (VAIF) or the fund. It approved the scheme will create a settlement fund of up to 230 million for relevant investors that hold shares in VAIF, right? So I would like to understand a little bit more about this opportunity and perhaps share some information up there. I haven't read it yet. On 14th of December, Link Fund Solutions announced the investors had overwhelming vote to approve the scheme of agreement. The scheme is now subject to approval by the court of the hearing on which will be on the 18th of January. So everything's still in the works. So that will be a first bullet point, right? The investor advocate who has been appointed to represent the scheme creditor in respect of the scheme is available to answer any questions. There's going to be information there. Myself, perhaps if it should be available, I think, for I want to enter some of those funds there. LFS are also able to answer questions about the scheme and how to vote. So there's some information there, and the FCA continue to consider that the scheme offers investors the quickest and or best chance to obtain the better outcome that might be achieved by any other means. As such, the FCA strongly encourages investors to consider it. So it's something I'll touch on in investing, and it's something I'm looking to take a look at or perhaps take part in. Myself, I don't understand it that well. It's always fun, everything, all this information, right? But I need to get myself, I guess, involved within the process and or collaborating and working together, right, with some of those institutions, right. Again, I'm most likely I'm gonna have to. Not that I want to, but I'm gonna have to. In April 2023, we announced a conditional settlement of our investigation into circumstances landing up to the supervision of the VAIF and LF's role as authorities corporation director. ACD of the VIF as part of conditional settlement. LF agreed to pay all of the assets to over 250 investors to VIF via scheme. In addition to Link Group, the ultimate parent of LFS has agreed to voluntarily contribute up to 60 million to bolster redress. Its money will not be available to investors throughout either separate legal action or any other actions we or anyone else could take. The FCA considers the scheme to be the quickest and or best way to return as much of money to investors as possible compared to other means. The FCA considers it is interest of the investors to be given the opportunity to consider the scheme. If the proposed redress amount of 230 million is paid in full, then investors will have recovered approximately 77p in the pound. Oh, okay. So I guess I'm trying to understand a little bit better and everything what's happening, right? And I don't know, 250,000 investors in VIF scheme. Briefly, myself, I would need to read all this information either way, so I might as well cover that or share that with others, right? But I'm not entirely sure about the process and what they're discussing with this information. Perhaps others might know a little bit more on that, but we're entering a weekend and we're talking about investments and restructure or redressing, right? Link Group will pay up to 60 million to a settlement fund and the scheme is approved, and a further 2.5 million to LFS to help pay for the cost of the scheme. This money is additional to a contribution being made by LFS in the absence of the scheme. Link Group will not make any monitor or monitor monies. I don't know who talks like that. Of that money available to LFS to pay or address it, right? Very designed to allow LFS to meet the contingent liabilities. Contingent liabilities are liable with might never arise, or if they do, they might be in a lower amount of provided for under the contingency. And the leftover money from the reverse will be distributed to investors covered by the scheme. The operation of this reverse will be supervised by the scheme supervisors, who are dependent on LFS and required to act in a good faith with responsible skills and care of the interest of the scheme creditors as a whole. We will ask the scheme supervisor to update us on the operations of reserve and input into that process as we consider appropriate. We will monitor them and how distribution are being made. By holding this reserve, LFX expects to be able to pay a significant distribution of between 183.5 million and 200 million to VIF investors during the first quarter of 2024, with possible further tranches to paid at a later date depending on what we can be released from the reserve, right? So there's a lot of information there for people who are interested. You might want to reach out to those people and ask some questions. Myself, if you're interested in learning more, I have published a book, Project Fifth Law. Within this book, I'm sharing a lot of information and everything what you would need to know about your body and overall health and how you can achieve that. So I'm sharing way how to do it, right? As well as I would break down the process and bring your understanding when it comes to fitness. That would be placing stress on your body and potentially how to have enough time to recover, as well as nutrition, right, while placing stress on your body, which would be an important part of the process, right? Taking a look at all these areas, as well as I'm starting with very beginner friendly entry, progressing and making things more and more complex as we go along. You can find it in QR code in the corner and company's website below. Let's finish on that. Myself, I'm trying to understand a little bit better, but if you like to learn more, you could potentially reach out to LFS or Investor Advocate. To contact Investor Advocate with comments or questions, please email. I'm going to share that information if any of you have any questions there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.